Hi, my name is Drew T. I'm going to be a sophomore here at Mizzou this upcoming year. I'm also going to be a small group leader here at Veritas. I've always been involved in the church, and the church has taught me a lot of great things, but honestly, I never pursued my faith wholeheartedly. I felt a connection to God, but I never pursued that connection. Well then, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and everything just kind of shut down, and with that, my faith kind of shut down. But coming into college, I knew that I wanted to continue pursuing my faith with God. I knew He had a lot of great things in store for me, so I wanted to go and actually find a church before I'd even came to Columbia. So this was May, June. I'd never heard of anything in Columbia, Missouri before. And at that point in time, I knew that I was going to go down there and I was going to try and recommit my faith to God when I went to college. 2 or 3 months passed by, and I finally make my way down to Columbia, knowing absolutely nobody. I didn't get what I expected. What I got was a world of isolation, due to not knowing anyone, but also the pandemic. The pandemic made it extremely difficult to get to know people. For the first about 4 weeks, I had felt the most alone that I'd ever felt in my life. I never felt comfortable down here in Columbia or at Mizzou, and I just questioned why I'd been sent to Columbia. I questioned God's plan, and I really struggled with this. So I'm sitting in my dorm one night, and I'm scrolling through Instagram, feeling down that I still haven't found my best friends here at college yet, and I come across a Veritas Instagram story, and it was for a freshman event here at the Crossing. I end up getting a ride from one of the leaders here at Veritas. I'm absolutely shaking because of how scared I am to show up to this event by myself and just have to introduce myself to, hundreds of new people. It was just what I expected. I had these conversations with people, very nice people. Veritas, very, very, very welcoming. But it was more of a personal struggle with me feeling like I was still isolated, even though I was surrounded by such great community. I just had not realized it yet. It was the first glimpse I'd felt in those first 3 or 4 weeks where I'd felt like Mizzou might actually be the place for me. So I show up to my first night of small group. I'd already met my small group leaders, Reed and Tate, really great guys. And I'd kind of known some of the guys that are in my small group, but I hadn't known them too well. We go through that first night of small group, and once again, I kind of feel isolated, but still know that God's trying to work through me, and that a part of my plan was here at Mizzou. Well, I go home, back to my dorm, and instead of, praising God, praying to God, I start looking at transfer applications to different colleges. So I go back home over winter break, and I feel comfortable again. I'm back at home, and I can just breathe. I was there for about 2 months, and throughout those 2 months, my small group guys and we actually kept in touch and just joking around over the phone and all that. But through joking around and through having simple conversation over the phone, I realized that God did so much more than what I realized in that first semester. He didn't put me through isolation and all these struggles of being a freshman in college to break me down. He was doing this to build me up and to ultimately make me a greater person for God. About January, I realized that when I go back to school, the only way I'm going to make this experience and God's plan work is if I end up going all in. I get back to Veritas second semester, back to Mizzou second semester, and I decide that I'm going to fully pursue God this semester. Whether that's through small group or individually through Veritas or just in any way, God was going to be the number one priority in my life. I start reaching out to people, and it's an astronomical change. It was immediate how much better it got for me. I finally grew close to my small group, and I mean, now we're the best of friends. It's so great getting to hang out with all those guys, and that wouldn't have happened if God had not sent me here. That's the most insane part to think about. I grew up right outside the University of Illinois, but got sent to Mizzou. But through God and through His plan, He opened up one of the greatest opportunities that I've ever had in my life in the Veritas ministry. After I decided to commit my life fully to God, there was an immediate change, and that just lit a fire in my soul for Him. I'd also say that I did actually put a lot more effort into conversations with people and focusing those conversations on faith. Whether that person was a Christian or not a Christian, I always have the thought of Jesus in the back of my head. How can I factor Him into this conversation? How can I help change this person's life to help them realize that Jesus is more? And that not only is amazing for them to pursue and realize all of the amazing things that Jesus has to offer, but it just fills me with absolute joy.